joining us, Miss Sementha Tisson. She's and
Thank
for
you
you,
for
no
having
problem.
us on the show. Good morning, listeners. My name is, of course, Sementha Tisson, and I represent the Environmental Health Department.
Yes.
And I am glad to be here to share some important information with you, the viewers. Like I said before, I am an environmental health officer within the Ministry of Health, and my role is to conduct inspection of food establishment, hoping that they will meet the standards for operation.
Awesome, great. And that's a very important role, because you know food safety is again very important. Now, Sementha, it's Creole season, and of course everybody's getting ready to indulge and eat all of their delicious Creole food that we're probably waiting all year round to indulge in. But of course we do have to create that awareness for food safety during that time. And just to start off, can you tell us why food safety during this time is such an important topic and an important message for us to address with our viewers?
What a beautiful question. It is said that food safety, or food, of course, is dual power. It can inspire you, it can sustain you, it can nourish you.
Yes.
And at the same time, if it's handled inadequately, it can cause diseases. So of course, food, or food safety rather, should not be a seasonal thing, but an everyday thing.
Definitely.
Whether you're preparing foods at your home,
Right.
in an established kitchen, or even our celebration, Jounen Kwéyòl.
That's right.
However, the mass crowd event, what you find that it's a bit more ticklish than that, because the risk of foodborne illnesses is greater.
During
Yes,
mass crowd
yes,
events.
yes. And the reason being, a large crowd of people are served, coming from different cultures, with different conditions, whether they're sick, older people,
Right.
younger people. So you have to, that has to be considered. Another factor that plays as well is persons, or they have temporary structures. Moving away from the established structure, where you have the sinks, the station, you have the food station, the prep station, you have the hot water, the running water,
Right.
and then you go into a temporary establishment where that is not there.
So some of those important structures or facilities are not available within the temporary structure for mass gathering.
Right.
events.
So hence the reason why it is particularly important for environmental health officers to monitor that event, or every mass crowd event, not just Jounen Kwéyòl,
Right.
but all mass crowd events.
Understood.
Yeah.
So with not just Jounen Kwéyòl, but the mass crowd events, but we are speaking about Jounen Kwéyòl, what would you say are some of the common maybe food safety risks or concerns that the department would monitor during this period?
Sanitation and hygiene, it plays a big role.
Okay.
And also the way that foods are stored, the way that it's prepared, bearing in mind that they don't have the structure to maintain it.
So these are some of the key concerns.
Right.
And then when we think of emphasizing on the importance of hygiene, would you say why is that in particular so important, the proper handling and hygiene by the vendors? And are there any, because like you said, they're leaving the structured facilities and they're going into temporary facilities during that time. So are there any particular requirements that, they have to meet, and even for customers as well, consumers as well, knowing what are some of the things to look for to, determine safety, or maybe what might not seem the best at that point in time?
Yeah. Training is very important in food safety, and one of the things that we encourage is training for food handlers, where we'll touch on hygienic practices, sanitation, and cross-contamination.
Okay.
Those are some of the huge factors that would cause foodborne illnesses. Of course, the food handlers, they need health cards, and also the vendors and the food handlers would need health cards. they would also need to be registered with the department.
All right.
Upon registration, you would get something called a temporary license, which will be displayed on the booth at the place.
And I know you've also always mentioned that it's important that even as us, the consumers, to look for, you know, those licenses and cards which should be displayed, to always ensure that you see that at the establishment. But is it something that we would see as well, we should look for as well at the temporary structures when we go out this weekend, in terms of under their tents or just in the vicinity, to look for those licenses and cards?
Yes, those are some things that you should look for.
Okay.
It will be displayed on the booth. Yes.
And it should be clearly displayed on the booth. So vendors, consumers, again, you look out for that, because that's like their seal of approval, their stamp of approval, to say that they've met the requirements.
Yes, from the Environmental Health Department. So they wouldn't meet the requirement just so they would, like I mentioned before, they would have to go through the training, and yes.
So there's a lot. It's pretty rigorous in terms of what they'd have to go through, just to ensure, again, that what they're presenting to the public and to consumers is safe, is sanitary, they've met the hygiene practices, and so that's important.
That's very important. Yeah.
Understood. Then you mentioned, and I know that that's something that came up in the tips, you know, in terms of temperature control, keeping the hot foods and cold foods is so critical. Can you tell us a little bit of why? Because I think even at homes, at our home, we might want to ensure that we keep those same practices, keeping hot foods hot and keeping cold foods cold. You know, in terms of foodborne illnesses, does it play a major impact in the food that we consume?
Yeah, good question. Yes, of course, temperature control is crucial. Again, that's one of the cause of foodborne illnesses. Foods don't attain the right temperature. Now there's this saying, hot food must remain hot and cold foods must remain cold.
So that's one rule that we can remember.
Yes, remember that. And the other rule is that hot foods they must be at a temperature of 140 degrees Fahrenheit and above. And cold food should be 40 and below.
Okay.
Anything within that range, that's calls for bacteria to multiply.
So there are specific temperatures that we also have to monitor.
Right.
Wow.
And then the longer you leave the food at room temperature, the quicker that bacteria multiplies.
There you go.
Yes, and every 20 minutes, you'd find that bacteria will multiply double the amount. Just imagine that.
Every 20
Every 20 minutes, it would double. The bacteria would double.
I never knew that. So that is definitely some very crucial information to have, very important. I'm happy that you mentioned that, because time is so essential. And if you think, sometimes we find ourselves just, you know, leaving food out for the longest while and then thinking that, hey, it's okay to consume afterwards. So that's very important.
Yeah, so the temperature control is very important. People must understand that and must adhere to that. Just imagine the amount of bacteria you can get from, you know, your food is just not at the right temperature.
As quickly as 20 minutes,
right.
It doubles.
Right, either hot or cold. So you have to maintain that temperature.
So these are things to think about when we're preparing this weekend, whether it's at home for family and friends, or again, the vendors as well know of this crucial information.
Right. Another thing that's really important too, that I believe that they don't pay particular attention to, is the cooking method, how long that food should be cooked. Because meats, so then meats, fish, is supposed to be cooked at an internal temperature. For instance, the meat should be at an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So after that meat has been cooked, you would test it, and with your thermometer, of course, the internal thermometer, and realize that it's at 160. Reason being that meats naturally have bacteria, so you need to kill that bacteria. So
anything less, it would probably be undercooked. And
right. So then that pink must not be seen in the meat, whether it's fish, chicken, or lamb. And you know they're going to have a lot of consumption of the pork,
meats, and
and the
fish
goat
as well.
and the lamb. And so it has to be properly cooked.
Oh wow.
The fish, the internal temperature should be 145, and the chicken, of course, will take a bit longer, so 165.
Okay, so even that is important. That
It is
internal
important, yes.
internal temperature when cooking as well is very important. Again, things to consider, because I know everybody's going to be cooking the bouillon, everything going to be on the pot as well. So that's important. And when we think of the recommended food storage and handling methods, Ms. Sementha, that vendors should be using for outdoor events, what would be some of the requirements? What are some of the proper practices?
Oh. Of course, like I mentioned before, the foods must remain hot and it must remain cold. For the cold foods, I know it's Jounen Kwéyòl, so they make one day their pots and their fouillé and their chebo. So that can suffice once it attains the temperature. So we also talk about shaving dishes, we talk about stenos and things of that sort. For the cold ones, they have to consider the ice pack, the coolers, if possible, the fridge, because electricity should be, that's one of the requirements from the department, that the organizers have electricity there, running water, sufficient toilet facility, and proper vector control method in place to prevent any outbreak of any disease or any sort, whether it's foodborne disease or dengue or leptospirosis.
Understood. Right. And Mr. Sementha, I just wanted to ask you as well, with the temperature aspect of the food, in terms of reheating, because I know that's something that maybe even at home we practice. You know, as much as the food was cooked at the right temperature, maybe it sits out, but then sometimes we find ourselves reheating. Can that be detrimental in terms of the quality of the food? And
it is. It can be reheating. When you reheat your food, I would give you a few examples, a few methods. When you reheat your food, it has to have an internal temperature at 165 as well. So ensuring that it's hot enough and it has destroyed all bacteria. Another thing you have to bear in mind, when you heat the food, you cannot heat it a few times over. So if you reheat the food, you don't heat everything. You may want to portion the foods, put in smaller containers, and whatever you're going to use, you reheat it, and then you consume. You reheat it, it will over and over again. It will just change the quality, and then putting it out to thaw out, then you know, bacteria and all of that sort. So you want to avoid bacteria. The whole point is to avoid bacteria.
Wow, I'm happy you mentioned that, because I can think, you know, sometimes the pot out there, we just put everything back on, reheat, so we need to also be mindful of that. And then how often, because you spoke a lot about the training and certification, so with the department, how often do we see, you know, the training happening and even, you know, recertification as well? Is it always an ongoing process?
It's ongoing. We're available for training. It's free of charge. Wow. And we don't give certificate. It's just mind information that can be used maybe in future. Maybe the ministry can put something together. But as it is right now, it's no certificate is given. And the only time we cannot slow us down is during the December season, where we're very engaged in meat inspection.
Oh yes, I know, and that's coming up pretty quickly.
So anyone can access the training that we offer.
That's great, and I think it's you think it's important, right, for vendors to, you know, without maybe the department saying, hey vendors, please come in to get a training, they should take, you know, that responsibility to come in and get the training.
Of course, yes, because some vendors, they will have the training multiple times, and then sometimes it's always a reminder, it's a refresher, which is really good, because even when you conduct our inspection, maybe the same thing that we highlight to them, we'll probably find that same thing. So people tend to forget. So training is always important. It should always be ongoing.
And we mentioned that, you know, the whole aspect of food safety for this weekend for Jounen Kwéyòl activities, it's a shared responsibility. The vendors, the consumers, we all have our part to play. So for us as consumers, when we go out, what might be some of the things that we can, you know, look for in terms of choosing, you know, the best vendor, or if we see something, should we be concerned about in particular during that time? Because I know we go out, we hungry, so you know when you get hungry, it's almost like you will eat anything, and you know, irrespective of looking at okay what it is that you're eating, or so what are some things that we should consider as consumers when we head out this weekend? It seems like it's a lot.
A lot of things,
Wow.
a lot. So yeah, so I think you should come for the training. So you can
I would love to. I would love to.
Yes, but it's a lot, but you have to pay particular attention to hygiene and sanitation. Hygiene, meaning personal hygiene, the way that the food handlers, not just the vendors, but then they have their workers.
Yes.
The way that they're attired, ensuring that they have their hair restrained, no jewelry of any sort, because you may be looking for your earrings and it's somewhere in the pot.
It fell loose, yes.
And yeah. And the tire, of course, the shirt, of course, should be
Sleeve,
something similar
covered,
to what you have,
yes.
that if you raise your arm, you cannot see under your armpit. The shoes, they're essential, close-up shoes, in case something fall on, at least you know your
protection
feet is
for
protected.
the workers.
The
comfortable as well, because you're on your feet for a long period of time.
Yes, under the condition that you're preparing the foods. Is it a clean place? Do they have their foods on the ground or on the floor? This has to be elevated. Another thing they should look for, there should not be any unauthorized person in the booth, including children. Right. If persons are sick, they shouldn't be handling foods. They're sneezing, they're coughing. They shouldn't be eating in the food booths as well. There should not be any cross-contamination in terms of raw foods. Say, for instance, bread, and then you have the chicken, raw chicken, because you know that's cross-contamination. Like we mentioned before, the chicken has its own bacteria, and then the bread is ready to eat. So when the two collide, that's disaster. Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of that
as
well.
And yeah, and something that should be displayed. Some people are sensitive to particular foods, allergenic foods.
Right.
So that should be displayed.
Okay.
Right. And remembering that it's a big event, so we're having persons from probably all over the world, right, with allergic reaction.
True.
So these things, so they need to know what are the allergens that most people are
allergic to.
Yeah.
Understood.
Right, like nuts and fish and shellfish and things of that sort. So it's a whole list of things, proper garbage disposal, any pest of any sort. So those are some of the things that they have to look out for, and as well as our temporary license should be displayed. Meaning that they have gone through the training with us, so they have an idea what to do. Understood.
Would you say, is it necessary, essential for them to wear masks? I know they usually say if you not feeling well, and you know, because from times of COVID, you know, the masks were very popular. But is it something maybe that you would want to do now for the vendors, or it's not necessary that they wear it?
It would be, why are you wearing the mask?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, is it because you have the flu?
Okay.
Are you unwell?
Understood.
Right, so you shouldn't be in the food place if you're unwell.
Understood. Something that I normally look for as well during these mass crowd events is, I always believe there should be a separate person handling money, and not, you know, serving the public, not drinks, not food, not anything. So you give any monies or anything paying for food is given to one person. That person is strictly responsible for money. So they're not handling food, they're not, you know, giving anything like that. I always feel like, so for me, if I see that happening, I'm kind of like, I don't, you know, feel like you should be handling money and also serving as well. So that's for me one of the main things that I look for as well.
Very
a designated person, just for money.
And we continue to enforce that the separate person should handle money and food. Because remember, your hands, they're everywhere.
Exactly.
They carry bacteria, they carry germs, virus, you touch everything, they carry money. Money is really dirty. It's all about the place. Today it's in St. Lucia, tomorrow it's probably in London.
Exactly.
It's in somebody's toilet on the ground.
True.
So the same person who's handling money should not be handling foods.
Totally agree. Yeah. That's, for me, again, I always look out for that in any establishment.
Right, and that's something that the customers should look out for.
Also, wearing gloves as well, is that something that we should expect to see, or is it necessary? Or
yeah, so Wearing gloves again, why are you wearing gloves? Do you have a cut that is so deep when it should not be in a food establishment? And if that's not the case, you can wear the gloves, but you have to change it off and on. Yeah, so for instance, if you again in fresh food, foods that pose, carry bacteria, you wear the gloves and you move it into a different task.
You change it.
You should change the glove.
Definitely.
And if you see the glove is tearing off after a period of time, you need to change. But we try to enforce hand washing, which is so much better. Important. Yeah, because when you wear the gloves, how often would you wash your hands? Right.
Understood. And I know maybe us going out as well, you again mass crowd and there's a lot happening, so always I always try to carry hand sanitizer and some wet wipes, because you two are just eating different foods, and I just try to be mindful of, it's always so easy to maybe just pick into your friend or your partner's plate with your hand, and so you just little things that I think if we practice it more often, it becomes natural that if you can't wash your hands at the event readily with water and soap, you use hand sanitizer, you use some wet wipes to ensure it's clean, because you could just imagine you're meeting so many people, you're shaking hands, you're hugging, and then you're drinking something, you hold in a cup, you hold in a bottle, and then now you're going to eat food as well. So just some things to be mindful of.
Yeah, but remember, Oneka, hand sanitizer cannot replace hand washing.
That's true. That's true.
The most important thing is to wash your hands.
Wash your hands,
and there are facilities available at the place, or will be.
So we'll definitely look out for that.
To do hand washing.
Because the best rule is
hand washing.
Wash your
you can't
hands
go wrong
thoroughly,
with
yes, with soap and
yes,
water.
And there's a 20-second rule. You put the soap in and wash for 20 seconds. I guess some see the alphabet.
Okay.
Right. So
okay, see the alphabet.
Yeah, because the hand washing will remove the grease and the dirt. But what would the sanitizer do? It may just suppress whatever.
That's true.
But you need to remove the dirt and the grease for proper hand care.
And sometimes, depending on how maybe grimy your hands are, the sanitizer kind of makes it feel a little bit worse, like it's still sticky, and no, you don't want that. And as much as possible, try to use your your eating utensils for eating food during that time, as opposed to just diving in with your hands. You know how that can be. So just some things to be mindful of.
Yes.
But Sementha, I also wanted to ask you, what are some of the more common foodborne illnesses that you would see during that time? What are some common things that people would get, and you from the get-go okay, it has to do with something that they may have ate that wasn't prepared properly?
Yeah, so a lot of people may complain with diarrhea and vomiting. Okay. Right? So then if you see after eating, you just run to the toilet and you're starting to vomit and diarrhea, that may be cause. Or that could also be a reason for something else. You're never sure. But the better things to do is to run tests to find out exactly what it is. Yeah, because you have these symptoms, they're similar to the flu and some communicable disease, non-communicable diseases, so you have to be certain. But the most important thing is that ensure that where you're eating is safe.
Understood. Yeah. Very, very important information, because this weekend it's going to be busy with Jounen Kwéyòl activities. What we're going to do is just take a really quick break, guys, and of course when we come back, we're still speaking with our environmental health officer and giving you all of the important food safety guidelines for Jounen Kwéyòl. It's for vendors, it's for you, our viewers at home, also preparing to cook those delicious Creole meals. So stick with us, we're going to be right back.
Trans fats are either naturally occurring or industrially produced. Industrially produced trans fats are made by adding hydrogen to vegetable oils, so make them solid. These oils become hydrogenated oils and can be found in the nutrition facts of certain products. Look closely in the ingredients list for hydrogenated oils, which would indicate that the product contains trans fats.
This message. Welcome back to the Wellness Hour. Again, thank you so much for being here with us. And again, we're speaking about food safety guidelines for Jounen Kwéyòl activities, for our vendors, for you who's going to be, preparing those delicious Creole meals. And our special guest, Sementha Tisson, she's an environmental health officer, and she's been giving us so much information. And Sementha, I just wanted to ask about, the level of work that goes into these seasons, Jounen Kwéyòl, Christmas, or any mass gathering event, how the department prepares, and I guess all officers. I've had the experience with the department for Christmas last year. And I know that you guys work some long hours having to do that meat inspection, and then just the experience we went into Mac, and just to be able to experience that and the detail and attention that goes into, we take these things for granted, but there's so much that the department has to do to inspect that meat, to ensure that when you come to purchase it, you're getting the best quality. So you really have to appreciate that. I know these guys, it's the Christmas season, and then they're out for these long hours, and we come there, and you just give me $5 pudding, give me $15 beef, and you bag that and you go. But there's so much that goes into ensuring that that meat is just perfect for you, the consumers. So could you tell us about, I know it probably gets really busy and everybody's, boots on the ground during this time.
Oh yes, in the December, I think it's some of us' favorite time.
Oh, that's nice.
So you get an opportunity to be with with everyone, the vendors.
Yes.
It's almost like it's chaotic sort of. So some of us enjoy that. And for meat inspection, yes, so of course the vendors, or butchers rather, they have to be registered with our department, first and foremost. So the vet, of course, would do their part.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a thorough inspection.
Right, ensuring that the animal is safe for slaughter. And that's where we come afterwards.
Yeah.
To make sure that this animal is not animal at the time, the meat is ready for consumption.
Yeah, I've seen it. They go reading, they're checking, and just looking for anything, and just the information as to, because they explain to us what you can possibly see that might be a red flag. And so it was I appreciated that experience in seeing that, because you'll just come in and you'll see a whole cow leg just hanging on the hook, and you buy that and you go. But the inspection, like I mentioned prior, is so important, because they're really just looking at every detail to ensure that this is fit for you to purchase, fit for consumption.
Right. So you look for that stamp. So that's from the environmental health department.
That's so important.
Right.
And then has there been any maybe recent improvements or technologies used by the department when it comes to enhancing your safety and surveillance? Because I know as well for you all, you'll maybe do a lot of recertification and just upgrading the knowledge and the expertise that the department has.
So you're referring to vendors, or
well, for the department?
For the department, continuous training for us. We get opportunities to collaborate with other agencies.
Awesome.
Some persons get the opportunity to go overseas on training, and even within our country or even within our department, we do our own self-training.
That's important.
Yeah, so and we have the internet at our disposal.
Definitely.
So you can never go wrong once you get the right information.
It's important to just do the research and just know what are some of the trends out there, what to look for, so that's important. And then I mean, for you, what would be an important message to the vendors as well as to the consumers, during this time? Because I feel like the information is out there, and unfortunately there are situations where somebody might, you make a little shortcut and you don't even realize the severity of it and what can happen, because in the heat of the moment you may be trying to prepare things so quickly. And I know another tip that you mentioned in the statement was taking into consideration how far in advance you may prepare certain foods, because again you're working with time, and so you know, okay, you're going to be out from breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, so there's a lot of food to prepare. But what are some of the considerations that vendors need to take when preparing food, like too far in advance? Can that be detrimental to the quality of the food?
It would be preferred to prepare the food closer to service time as possible. Okay. But if there's, for any reason that it's impossible to do so, then you have to make sure that you maintain the temperature. Remember again, the temperature. Keeping
That's important.
Right, the hot foods hot and the cold foods cold.
Very important. Yeah. When you think of the things like maybe the cold pots, the grills, and some of the things that they use, what are some, best practices? Because you mentioned as well not having food low on the ground and all of that.
So yeah, so food should be always elevated off the floor or off the ground, right? So it shouldn't even be outside on the ground. It should be in a partition place where and it's elevated off the ground. Reason being that pests like to hide everywhere, roaches. So you think that you're going to find place under the food. So they have to be elevated for that reason, and you need to be able to clean properly. So that's one of the reasons, and it's for hygiene purposes too. Just imagine you have the food on the ground and you're sweeping, dust and everything else going in that food. So it has to be elevated. So even at the place that during the Jounen Kwéyòl festival, that applies. So everything that applies at a structural establishment applies at that place as well. Understood. Yeah, all just to prevent any food contamination.
Understood. Yeah. And cross-contamination would also be a big concern. So in terms of the meats and the seafoods, could you give a little bit more about how it would be best to, keep those items separate? I always know at home it's a practice. You have separate cutting boards for, the different meats or whatever you're working with as well.
Yeah, yes. And the volume of food that will be at the place, and the type of food, there's the need for prevention. So the meat needs to be separate from the fish and the chicken, and you need to use the various utensils, different utensils for everything, different knives, different bowls, different plates, different chopping boards. Even the place that you store them, they must be different. So they just have to be apart from each other. Being together, meaning that there's going to be cross-contamination and illness for persons who are allergic to certain foods.
Also, in terms of maybe, passing every few minutes to clean or wipe down, would that be recommended? And what would be maybe some of the better solutions in terms of a quick cleanup? Because sometimes the vendors might have little areas for eating that you can sit at, and so would that be a recommendation?
Oh yes, you cannot go wrong with cleaning at all. So cleaning has to be done properly. So you cannot wipe down the surface and the same towel just have it stored there. So of course with cleaning, the towel that you're using to clean, you need to have a sanitizing solution. Bleach, of course, with warm water, and then you wipe it down. So every time you wipe down, and when
you do that periodically.
Right, and then when it's needed, you change the water. So people will have to use their discretion at what time they need to change the water. So cleaning is important, because then again you may get flies there. Not cleaning there properly, flies all over the place. So you need to maintain that cleanliness at all times.
That's understood. And proper garbage disposal, again, as you mentioned, is very important.
Right.
Because you can just imagine the high volumes of people as well. Yeah. And then another important point for me that I didn't necessarily know about, just going back a little, is the chilling the drinks and then the cold food. So ensuring that you have separate ice for all of these things as well. That was a new point for me.
Yes, of course. So the drinks that you're going to use for the ice you're going to use for drinks, they must be separated from what you're going to store your food or keep your foods cold. And of course, ice carry bacteria. People may think that it wouldn't, but just imagine taking your ice where you have the same ice that you store in maybe your chicken or the drinks,
right,
and put it in somebody else's drink. That's transfer all bacteria. Again, that's cross-contamination. It has to be separate. The vendors, they too need to have proper utensils with handles to dispose of the ice.
Okay.
So they cannot use a plastic cup or something without handle. Then you're going to contaminate the ice. So that's important to know.
I like that point as well. Thing to consider.
Yeah, and again, you know, the hands dirty. So using a handle, then you prevent the ice from being contaminated.
That's very important.
Yeah.
So again, there's so much to, you know, consider, but we know these are things, you know, that we know and practices that we know of. So it's as simple as just, you know, being mindful. Again, as consumers, we know what to look out for. So just be mindful of that. Again, as Sementha said, hand washing is best, and you know, these facilities are provided during the mass crowd activities, because I guess for you to get any approval, you have to ensure that you check off, you know, everything on your list. So these facilities are provided, so hand washing is best. And just as consumers, just, you know, be mindful out there. With if anything you see may seem a little concerning to you, then, you know, take heed of that. Sometimes, you know, you get that gut feeling that something may be off, so you go with that and you choose the establishments that are that practice proper hygiene and sanitary practices. And again, would you all be going around during that time or do you all get to also enjoy it? I mean, for you as an environmental officer, and you're going to, is it different because you know all of this information, so you become a little bit more detailed in terms of where you eat and what to look for, because you're involved in it every day? So
that's true. That is true.
So you see things so quickly, and so I guess having that knowledge is also it's important, and it helps you to make the best decisions as to where should I go to eat.
Yes, I guess that's the benefit of being an environmental officer. Definitely. Yeah. But we will be working at the events, because there's always a reason for monitoring the events. Like I mentioned before, the vendors, of course, you may tell them what to do. They may not even adhere to it. So then us being there and seeing us there all the time,
that's right.
That would be an encouragement to them.
You have that level of encouragement, right. So they know that, again, our environmental officers are on the ground, and they're doing their checks and you know, giving advice and along the way as to, you know, best practices, and just to adhere to it. And for me, the guidelines and the protocols, it's not out of the way. It's practices that you should be doing anyway. It's just ensuring that you enforce it. And again, you're dealing with a mass crowd event, so you want to ensure the safety of all of your patrons and customers and consumers. And you know, it just augurs well for your business that people know that they came to your establishment, they had really good tasty food that was also safe for consumption. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Of course, and I'm glad that you said that, though, because just imagine somebody who's been longing to come to Saint-Lucia for Jounen Kwéyòl, and they came all the way here just to enjoy that activity, and they purchase maybe, say, a nice bouillon they've been hearing about, and while having that bouillon, they get an earring and they swallow that.
Oh my gosh.
When they get back home, they will not say, okay, I ate that.
Exactly, because I went to Saint-Lucia, Jounen Kwéyòl activities, and I did not have the best experience. And
exactly. That can dampen our economy in some way.
Definitely.
So the vendors need to realize that as well, or understand that too.
They have a major part to play. And again, if you're a well-established restaurant or a well-established food business, and you know, people come and they eat from you. It's like, okay, I came down to one of the Jounen Kwéyòl activities, I eat from this restaurant that was there, I had a good experience. So it's not like I need to go back to this restaurant, I need to visit them at their establishment because the food was really good. So you know, the quality of your work, the quality of your food, your hygiene and everything will speak for itself once you abide by those protocols and practices. And Miss Sementha, a lot of what the guidelines, I feel like we can practice those videos, it's important for us to practice it at home as well.
All totally.
Definitely.
Yes.
And the temperature, the message that stuck with me is definitely the temperatures of the food, ensuring that they're at a particular temperature when cooked, keeping hot foods hot, keeping cold foods cold. I think that really is a key factor in the preparation. Washing your hands, making sure that you use separate utensils for different things. And for me, it's as easy as color coding. If you're using red for meats or green for vegetables and blue for something else, so you know that, hey, this is what this is for. So you don't, because you might have the same utensils, all the same color, and you're trying to figure out, oh gosh, did I use that one with the fish? So you go with, simple color code so that you know. I know some of the cutting boards as well, they come with the carvings of if it's chicken, fish, vegetables. So again, these are little things so that you too, maybe you're doing things so quickly you might forget, but then you see it, so you know, okay, red, we're sticking strictly to meats and things like that. So everything has its purpose, everything has its place, and then you avoid cross-contamination. But anything that you'd like to leave with our vendors and the consumers as well when they head out? Again, tomorrow a lot of corporates will be, doing their catering or cooking their foods at business establishments. I know they're also sharing with their customers as well. The children in the schools, the teachers, they're getting ready for that. I know parents who have to prepare saltfish and smoked herring and juice and bakes and all of that. So these are things that you want to be mindful of when preparing those foods for our children, because you want them to have a good time, but you want them to be safe. And then when we go out on Sunday as well, the vendors preparing and us, the consumers.
Yes, like you rightly mentioned, food safety should be across the board, not just at Jounen Kwéyòl, but also at our homes. And like you rightly mentioned, even in the schools. So we have to adhere to all of that, all the guidelines, all the food safety guidelines. I would like to just remind them, or vendors, the public, that be very vigilant when purchasing food. Open your eyes. Know like you mentioned, the signs.
Definitely.
Yeah, you have to know the signs, see the signs, know what you're purchasing. Look for the cleanliness, look for the tidiness, look for the sticker or the temporary license from Environmental Health Department. Wash your hands at all times. You cannot go wrong with washing your hands because your hands carry bacteria. So wash your hands, because even the consumer can get themselves sick by not washing or proper, not just washing hands, but proper hand washing with soap and water. So that's what I would like to leave and see how Bon Jounen Kwéyòl.
That's right. And Sementha, I want to thank you so much, the department, for your amazing work. I know probably come December you'll be back with us to talk about all of the food safety and meat inspection that's coming up, and we'll be giving you that information. But that's all the time we have on the show today. I want to say thank you to you, the viewers, for sticking with us. Thank you to the tech team at Hot 7 for giving us that extra time. Thank you to our lovely guest, Sementha Tisson, our environmental health officer, and Bon Fête Kwéyòl tout le monde. Go out, have an amazing Jounen Kwéyòl weekend. Enjoy the foods, but again, be very cautious. Ensure you have proper hand washing techniques. We'll be posting some social media cards for food safety on our social media pages on the Ministry of Health Facebook and Instagram page, so you could look out for that information. And thank you so much for being here with us today for the Wellness Hour. I'll see you guys next week. Continue to have an amazing Thursday.
Hot 7 TV is the rising star of television in St. Lucia, with our stunning 100% HD quality, fresh, exciting programming, including a